Rahim is actually a platform that allows community members to canvas and actually chronicle their experiences with police. And so now you have a purpose.
This is Blair Durham with Black Wall Street Today, your media hub for all things Black entrepreneurship, politics, news, and events in Hampton Roads and beyond.
When I say black, y'all say Wall Street. Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street.
And now, more Black Wall Street Today with Blair Durham.
Greetings.
Welcome back to Black Wall Street Today with Blair Durham. It's the 102nd edition of our show. We're focused today on this idea of building wealth, and our next guest is Charles Corprew. He is passionate about revolution, not the bloody riots that mar cities and countries, but the opportunities we all have for personal and global transformation. As an educator for the last 20 years, Charles has worked to change the trajectories of America's most precious demographics. Charles taught middle school social studies, coached baseball, and had the fortunate experience of teaching psychology at Green Run High School, his alma mater. Charles later earned his PhD in psychological science from Tulane, where he focused on resilient outcomes for boys and men of color. After successful tenure as a professor, Charles believed there was more to sitting behind a desk and writing about how things should be. Thus, he started his social venture, where he worked to bring racial and gender equity to the consciousness of organizations around the country. Welcome to the show, Mr. Corprew. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm super excited to have you today. So let's talk about your current work, CamelBack Ventures. What is it that you do through the organization?
So CamelBack Ventures is a wonderful organization founded by our CEO, Ann Walker, in New Orleans. And what we do is we believe that genius is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. And what we do is that we vet, source, and fund entrepreneurs that are women and of color. And we give them capital, coaching, connection, curriculum, and community to allow them to actually amplify and intensify their ventures. If you think about the amount of investments that go into women and people of color, they're almost less than 2% of all of the investments that go into ventures that are created across the country, across the world. And so we're trying to ensure that people who think about these robust ideas that also have a social impact, as you talk about in your show, have the ability to stand up their organizations and get the necessary resources that they need to actually be successful. So it's a wonderful job. And what we did back in the summer of this year was knowing that COVID was going to hit, and back in the recession of 2008, 2009, almost half of these small businesses that were begun by women and people of color actually failed. And so we said we were not going to allow this to happen for our ventures. So we started an alumni relief effort where we have the ability to bring a ton of resources from all over the country, whether it be monetary or in-kind services, to help them build up and bolster their ventures.
Wonderful. Love the platform, and certainly in harmony in terms of the vision. A lot of the work that we do with Black Brand is around responding to the same need. So glad to know that CamelBack is a thing. Can you speak a little bit in terms of the application process? How does an entrepreneur go about getting involved?
Right, that's a great question, Blair. Usually, in a normal situation, I would be mired in applications right now. Application cycle usually opens in early August. Last year, over the last 2 years, we've had an application process where we had 500 ventures that were created by women and people of color apply for CamelBack Ventures. Yeah. What we've tried to do in our application process, my colleague Caroline Lukwicki, who basically heads that effort, is that we try to make it equitable. Many times when you apply to an organization, it's this long written application. But knowing that, some people are better in front of the camera, Blair. Some people are written, some people are oral. And so we've made this process equitable, and so people can choose the format that they'd like to apply with. And so there's certain questions that we ask about the fit of the venture, their value proposition, and their problem statement, the market that they're actually venturing into, how well do they know their industry. And as they move through the application process, we want to know, right, have they actually engaged with their communities? What are the communities actually saying about them? So as we're making this decision about our investments in the social capital that we're going to invest, that we know that they're going back and actually working with the markets and the industries and the customers that they actually say they are, and they're actually making some impact. The last two parts of the application process is just we bring in experts from across the country, as well as our team who has expertise in entrepreneurship to make those final decisions.
Good. Okay. Let me ask you about this one particular category that you fund, conscious tech. What is conscious tech?
That's an interesting thing, sir. We are actually still in the testing phase of that, and we're trying to figure that out ourselves. And so our initial hypothesis is looking at those ventures that are creating robust technology for the BIPOC community. And so I think about Brandon Anderson with Raheem, which, in this time of policing and over-policing for people of color, Raheem is actually a platform that allows community members to canvas and actually chronicle their experiences with police. And so now communities have all of this big data, which I love, Blair, is the ability to use data to actually impact policy, to create policy. Mm-hmm. And so Raheem is this policing app, this community app that actually involves policing. And so now, as community activists go in and want to work with policing organizations, they're saying these are the interactions that are happening in our community. It's not like there's this subjective nature to it. Mm-hmm. We're saying we've got the data. Now let's talk about how do we shift if the interactions are nefarious. How do we shift policies? Like, how do we change the attitudes and actions of our policing force?
Yeah. Interesting. I'm just perusing the CamelBack Ventures website. And so you're funding entrepreneurs from all over the country, not just the New Orleans area where the organization is founded. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I noticed, too, one of the differentiators with CamelBack is that, not only are you funding for-profit ventures, but you're funding nonprofits as well. What went into the decision to give serious consideration to nonprofit entities? So I know that tends to be a rarity in the VC world.
Right. So we're not a traditional VC. As we think about this, we know that many times Black and Indigenous people of color are creating organizations that, are in line with their values and goals of their communities that they serve. And so nonprofit organizations have been the staple of, Black and Indigenous people of color communities for decades. And so we saw this opportunity to make investments for founders who were starting, at this early stage of the nonprofit world and saying, hey, you have a great idea that potentially has a larger impact in a community. And so there are certain communities around the country that we've invested in: New York, New Orleans, Chicago, LA, Oakland, Birmingham, that we're seeing that there needs to be a tremendous impact. And we also invest in charter schools. And so we're seeing this charter school growth movement across the country. But we've been left out, and many of the schools that have been created haven't been created by us. And so we've invested in almost 20 charter schools over the last 6 years. And many of those schools are now open and impacting the individual communities that they serve.
Powerful. Plainly put, I'm still perusing the site and looking here at your impact and some of the research that you all have brought to bear through your efforts. Powerful work that is, I know you've identified certain communities that could benefit perhaps more than others, or that are in more dire straits than others, but thinking about the conditions of particularly people of African descent here in the U.S. I feel like there's certainly a national need for this kind of effort. What is long-term, 5-10 years out for CamelBack Ventures? Is the intention to kind of set up shop in every state, or what's your thinking there?
I don't think it's for us to create to set up shop in every state. I think that as an organization, and what we're seeing now with the pandemic, is that you can be remote and still have a robust impact all across the country, all across the world. Our vision is to have livable communities with living wage jobs that are created by women and people of color. And so when we think about livable communities, you're thinking about, as you read in my bio, I grew up in Virginia Beach and Green Run.
Right.
My parents have lived in that house for 50 years. Being able to get up and have a middle class to upper class income where you can send your children to school. And where they go to school, they're getting a quality education. I think about Green Run High School and what it meant to me back in the late 80s and 90s, and early 90s, where, Virginia Beach at this time was a racist city, and created a diagram where most of the black kids had to go to Green Run. Mm-hmm. It was a mistake on the school board's part, because what they did was create a juggernaut in Green Run High School, basically from 85 to 91 until Salem opened. And what happened with our principal, Wiley French, is that he created an equitable environment for students. And so my worldview was created there. How I see equity now was created in that school. So we want to have that similarity where people are living and going to schools where children see the vastness and the creativity of everyone. To be able to understand what it means to eat lumpia with your Filipino colleagues, right? To go to the soul food restaurant and eat with us, right? To break bread with anyone and to have conversations and to understand the vastness of our differences, but also about our similarities. And so when we think about livable wage jobs, we're not talking about $8.50 an hour, Blair. We're talking about $15 and up, where people can buy homes, when they don't have to rely on rental where we're making other people rich. Now, I'm not saying I'm a landlord myself, but to have a livable wage job where you can take care of your family and yourself. And so that is at the crux of everything that we do, is that we want to make sure that our people have communities to go home, that they're happy, that their children are schooled, and they actually have really good jobs.
Yeah. Awesome. Just thinking about this year and seeing so many new efforts get going, in light of what we see in the media, and just grateful to know that there are entities like yours who see the value in these spaces. What else would you say? How can we connect with you? How can we connect with CamelBack for going forward?
You can always go to CamelBackVentures.org and see all of the great ventures, the 84 ventures that we have funded over the last couple of years. Our CEO, Ann Walker, has written a number of articles about the education landscape that we have going on and how CamelBack fits into that landscape. We're on all social media, whether Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Please check us out. But I would, if you're thinking about the opportunity to invest, for all the Hampton grads that have created livable communities, livable wage jobs, this is an opportunity to also invest in ventures that are built by women and people of color. So there's opportunities to be a part of that, or even investing in CamelBack Ventures as we think about how we ensure that we continue to have the ability to bring in robust ventures and to give them the resources that they need to actually be ruthless for good. And that's one of our mantras, that we want our ventures to be ruthless for good.
I love it. Okay. Anything else you would share?
No, we are good. I just appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. Shout out to my frat brother, Seiko Varner, who put us together, the good brothers of Omega Psi Stock.
I thought that it had something to do with Seiko. That's fantastic, and he's amazing. I saw the Green Run connection, and I said, well, maybe Seiko has something to do with it. Well, certainly there are many ways for us to remain connected, particularly as Black Brand moves forward to build a community development financial institution and put together VCs for opportunities in Hampton Roads. So I will definitely remain connected with you on that wise. And, of course, you are welcome to come back to the show and talk with us about the progress at CamelBack.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, Blair.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
This show is brought to you by Positive Vibes Incorporated, our consulting services. We do credit fixes, tax resolution, we lend private money to real estate investors, and we do debt consolidations. Basically, we put money in your pocket when you need money. We put money in your pocket when you need money. 757-932-0177. Throughout the United States, credit fixes, tax resolution, lending private money to real estate investors, and debt consolidation. 757-932-0177. 757-932-0177.
Phenomenal. Stay with us online at Black Wall Street Today on Facebook and Black Wall Street Today on Instagram, and then follow us on Twitter as well at BWS Today. We look forward to talking again next week. Have a wonderful week. I have said and I will continue to say that the most important priority for the Black community is the Black community, not a particular political party. Phenomenal.
Hey, yo, when I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black Wall Street. When I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black. When I say Black, you say Wall Street.